Hello and welcome to See Hope Podcast, where we look for hope in every situation. Joining me tonight, we've got twin brothers, two journeys, but one destination. And it's going to be an awesome discussion about these two amazing men's lives. And before we get started, please hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, share the show with everyone you know. And, we can't do this without your support. So jump in there, let it go. And joining me tonight, we have Brian and Bruce. Brian,
good evening.
how
How
you
are
doing,
we?
buddy?
Mate, I'm doing very well, thank you.
Do you want to give us a little snapshot of who you are?
Yeah, I'm the older of us two, being 10 minutes older than Bruce, and I was only just saying I was waiting for him to arrive, so I know exactly how long I was waiting. But look, we both grew up, and Bruce will probably go into some detail as well, but we had a great childhood. We enjoyed each other's company. We played together. We fought together. Mum would break up the fights. Dad would come home and finish the fights. And we were raised in a Catholic background. Mum was very strong in her faith. Dad was a Methodist, but he was quite happy for the situation, as we had an older sister who nearly died at birth, and she was given her last rites as a Catholic. And then, of course, Mum being a Catholic, it all just fitted into that space. And then we grew up in the Catholic Church for about 17 years. And then I kind of thought that wasn't for me.
And Bruce, give us a little snapshot of who you are.
Yeah, thanks for allowing the opportunity, mate, to do this.
You're welcome. Happy to have you.
Yeah. Similar to what Brian was saying, of course, because we lived under the same roof. We even had our first car we bought together.
Yeah, we shared it.
We shared that. And then we got married, and we got married.
You got married to each other?
To each other, yeah. Yeah, we thought we'd give that a crack.
This is going to be very progressive.
I wasn't too sure which way he was going to take this, but now the truth's coming out.
No.
It was more the point of I was the eldest in our family to be married at the age of 22.
Okay, yeah.
So Brian was already married, and our two sisters were married. And then it took me 8 years to find Jesus, and that was through the baptism of our first son.
Yeah.
And Mum, being Catholic, said, "You got to get him baptized, otherwise he's going to hell."
Yeah,
and that really didn't mean too much to me, but so we did. And then through that process, we were asked by the minister of the Anglican Church, "Why do you want to get him baptized?" So we went through that process. Me with a 6-pack of VB. Saying, "Don't talk to me, talk to Kerry, my wife."
Is that all you could afford?
I'd already drank the other ones.
Was Kerry Christian or Catholic at the time?
She was Anglican.
She was Anglican.
But
Anglican,
not
right.
practicing.
Yeah.
So then the minister decided, or asked us, it'd be really good for you guys to come to church and check it out. And I said, well, it's taking you 6 minutes, 12 seconds to bring that up. So yeah, I was pretty...
You're on the time.
Mate, well, the footy's coming up. So then when he left, we had a reasonably long driveway, and he walked back, and I thought, what's he left, his Bible or something behind? And he said, "Bruce, I just want to ask you a question. If you were to die tonight, what do you think would happen to you?" Now, we've come up through Catholic church, through Catholic school.
Yeah.
I had Jesus in my pocket, probably more so God. And then I thought, man, I really don't know what's going to happen. And Kerry asked me, like, what's wrong? And I said, I think we need to go to church and check this stuff out. So it took 9 months for us to be converted and know that Jesus is our Lord and Saviour.
Yeah.
And then we got David baptized. So that's where we started.
In the Catholic Church.
In the Anglican Church.
In the Anglican Church.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. And the reason, I'll tell you why, we got married in an Anglican church, and out of Brian and my two sisters who got married in Catholic churches.
Yeah.
2 reasons why I didn't want to get married in a Catholic church. One is, how do I go to a priest and talk to him about my relationship with my wife? Because priests don't get married. Whereas with an Anglican minister, I could. Second one was, well, the Catholic Church weren't too keen on the pill back in the day, whereas I could go and talk to an Anglican minister about that and just see where that would progress. So I felt more comfortable getting married in an Anglican church, even though I wasn't a Christian.
Yeah.
And then the rest was history from there.
There you go.
It's interesting. I mean, I got married to a Lutheran woman back in the day, and I spent 6 weeks learning about the Lutheran Church and understanding the way that the Lutheran Church broke away from the Catholic Church way back in the 14th, 13th century.
Martin Luther.
Yeah, that's right. And I thought, and I've always struggled with, through our Catholic upbringing, the understanding of what the Pope could do. And what I struggled with early on was all of a sudden the attendances were down on Sundays, and the Catholic Church made a decree that you could go to church on a Saturday night and fulfill your commitment to Sunday. And I'm thinking, hang on, we spent our whole life understanding that it's important to go to church on Sunday, not eat before you go to church so you can receive the sacrament, go to confession so you can appear and turn up in a clean state to present yourself to God. And it was Christianity by fear. The devil's going to get you, and it doesn't matter which way you go. So when I met my first wife, it was interesting because she was a Lutheran. I thought, I'd love to find out more about what the Lutheran Church is about.
Yeah.
So I went along to a 6-week course, and it really opened my eyes up to there is more than just what the Catholic Church is preaching, and it just opened my mind to where we were going to go. And look, I suppose from there, we were married for 12 years, had 2 children, and then it went south. We were visiting the church, and she decided that she didn't want to be in the relationship anymore, and she left for a friend of mine. And, well, not much of a friend, I suppose. But anyway.
It's a bit tough.
Yeah, it was tough, and it got to the point where she was happy to leave and not take the kids. And I wouldn't let her take the kids. So I had a son who was 8 and a daughter who just turned 3. So here I am on my own trying to raise these kids. And I've got to tell you, at that time, God was not in my space at all for any reason. And if anybody mentioned God, it wasn't nice. And I really started to feel the troubles of what this world has to offer. And it really hit me hard. And I was working, I was traveling. My job took me interstate around the world, etc. My mum stepped up and helped me look after the kids. And it was a tough time. It was interesting. The Lutheran minister came to my home and he walked in with a case in his hand. And I said, you open that up and it's got a Bible in it. It'll be the last thing you'll ever do. And he said, no, Brian. He said, I just want to talk to you. He said, I know you've got these cigars that you've spoken about and they take about 2 hours to smoke. I said, yeah. I said, don't open that and take your collar off. Because if you're coming in my house, I'm not having it. He said, I just want to sit down and talk to you. So he opened up this case and it had 2 glasses and a bottle of scotch. And I thought, okay, this is pretty good. So we then just sat together and he shared with me some of the difficulties that he's had in his life through some dramas that he had with his wife. She gave birth to a child that was outside of the wedlock, etc. But all of a sudden I realised, well, there are people that have issues like I've got. And we smoked a cigar for 2 hours and we had a drink and he left. But he said to me, you're not fighting this on your own. But I said, look, seriously, don't talk to me about God. I don't want to know because I was in a bad place.
Were you actively spiting God?
Yeah.
Or was it just something that was out of your mind? You just weren't thinking about him, or was there actual, I guess, animosity towards God for the situation you've been put in?
Well, let me tell you, Bruce in the background has accepted Jesus. Bruce in the background is trying to share this information with me. And I'm thinking, really? This is the last thing I need. Don't even think about mentioning the word God, Jesus, holy, anything else. Mention the Bible. I don't want to know about it. And I was really struggling with why would God, why would our God, do this to somebody? And I was struggling with that. And I was in a lot of pain, a lot of frustration. I couldn't understand why. But at the end of the day, there's light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah. And I'm sure a lot of people have kind of had the same sort of feeling. Like, this world can get to you. Oh. This world is tough and it can get to you. And if anyone's out there who needs help, make sure you hit us up in the comments or hit us up in the emails. You're not as Brian said, you're not in this alone.
No.
We're always here, and if their story tonight can help you out, then let's get it rolling.
Yeah, well, it's also interesting just hearing what you said then, Gary. People were out there trying to support me and trying to help me, and Bruce was doing a wonderful job in the background, praying for me and all these things. And, if I found out he was praying for me, I'd tell him not to. But there were so many people out there praying for the lost. And even if they didn't know me, they were praying for the lost. And it just started to work and go through that. But yet I was still a lost soul. Now, we're only talking on the way up here tonight. 25 years ago, I met my new wife, Alison.
Yep.
And we have 3 children.
Amazing woman.
Oh, she's amazing. They put up with me. Anyone's got to be amazing.
Anyone after 25 years was great.
I took the words to me all about
Twins, so I know what you're going to say.
So I meet Alison. Now, Alison's a lot younger than me, and she's not blind, so I beat you then.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, when we're starting to talk, and I'm not with God, and I don't know why I said this, but I said to him, we're going out together, I said, would you go to church with me? And I'm thinking, where did that come from? Right? So you don't realise what's happening in the background.
Yeah.
And what things are going on. But there was that little, and when I said that, and she said, yes, I would, and I stepped away from the conversation driving home, and I'm thinking, you're an idiot. Why would you say that? And then all of a sudden I thought, but hang on, she said she would. But then I went back to saying, why did I say that?
How long were you together at that point for?
We were together for about 3 years.
At that point?
At that point.
And you said, can we go to church?
Yeah. That was prior. That was prior to us being. This is just starting the relationship.
Yeah. Okay.
Right. So we'd only been going out for probably a month.
Yeah.
And I throw this curveball question, and it could have been a make or break moment.
Yeah.
Really, seriously. Anyway, she says, okay, I would. Now, Alison's from a Catholic background.
Yeah.
Her mum and dad are very strong in the Catholic faith, and we have wonderful conversations. And they are just so focused on God, and I really do believe they will be in heaven.
Yeah.
They are just incredible people. And here's Alison coming up through the church there, and she was also lost because she'd been married and gone through a pretty horrible relationship with a partner who was on drugs, etc. And it just wasn't a place for her. So she pulled herself out of that space. So when you look at the big picture, we've got God in the background just pulling all this together. And I often call it a big jigsaw puzzle.
Yeah.
And he's just sitting there putting the pieces into place, and he's working through my life as he is with everybody's life, and he's just pulling these pieces together.
I like to think of it as like a ship. The ship is going in its direction. God is the captain of the ship. He's directing it, and we're the crew. And us humans of our ship being our life, we'll do anything to mess around with that ship. We could even break the sails. Oh, mate, we could even try to sink the ship.
That's right.
Yeah. But it's still going in that direction.
That's it.
And this is where Bruce is continually doing this wonderful job of trying to get me to understand that there's this person called Jesus who came to earth, who died for our sin.
Yeah, real person.
A real person.
Yeah.
And if we believe in that, we will live forever in the kingdom of God. I mean, and so Bruce is trying to drum this down my throat.
Yeah, and just on that, God has always taught me, as he teaches all Christians, is to focus on spreading the word, sharing your life with your family and friends. A lot of people turn that around and they say, "Oh, I'm trying to share my life with my friends and family." I'm thinking, reverse it.
Yeah,
because you've got family there that don't know who Jesus is. I mean, everyone is a wonderful opportunity, but I wanted to focus on my family, especially this guy, because of him being my twin, and the opportunity for me to. I mean, I've got a wonderful life now because I'm with Jesus, and he hasn't. And I have no idea what Brian's gone through. No idea at all. If you look at endurance levels, mine's probably a centimetre off the table. Brian's is probably 6 feet under the table. But that's the difference. Is I have no idea what he's gone through.
Yeah.
But what he needed to understand was where I was and am with Jesus, and I wanted him to get the picture.
Yeah.
To get in on it.
And look, he worked very hard over a long period of time. Now, this was also prior to me being with Alison.
Yeah.
I was in another relationship after my wife and I were divorced.
Devil woman.
Very brutal. Very brutal.
Man.
I'm not saying honest, but very brutal, right? Because
what was that again?
Whoa.
Anyway, that was the time I had to go through before Alison was in a position where her and I could move forward. Once again, this is God's plan. It's his layout, right? So I was going out with her, and Bruce would say, "Oh, listen, we've got this thing coming up."
That's how I used to talk when I was about 20 years old.
Can you give us a little
give us
some time. Give it a try.
Told you, boy.
He would come at me. He would say, "Oh, look, we've got this barbecue happening," and I'm thinking, "Oh, okay." I'm expecting to go to his place. No. He gives me the address, and I rock up, and it's a church. And I think, no chance, Jose. Anyway, the lady and I go in there with our kids, and I just say to him, I said, "Mate, seriously." He said, "No, it's just a barbecue. Just chill, relax." So I'd relax, and I'd be thinking about what I'm there for, and I'm thinking, there's no way. Why did you put me into the battlefield? Yeah. What am I doing here? And
this is with the aforementioned devil woman.
Yes, that's right. And look, she was cool with it. She didn't say anything, but then I'd walk away.
She liked the name, did she?
Yeah, probably.
Well, they wrote a song about her called Evil Woman.
Anyway, we'd step away from that, and I'd say on the way home, I said, like, I won't use the words anyway, I'd say, why did he invite me? Right? I end up in a church. I don't want to be in a church. I don't want to be here. And then, oh no, he'd ring me the next week. "Oh, mate, do you enjoy the barbecue?" I said, "Yeah, good on you, mate." "Seriously?" And I'd say, "Mate, I didn't know I was at the church." "Well, you never asked." Well, yeah, to be fair, I never asked. It was just a barbecue. And then he'd say,
"Well, you knew that there was the address. It wasn't my place."
"Yeah, I know, but I didn't know it was a church."
You didn't look it up. He didn't have Google.
No.
I just look it up.
I told you, don't touch me.
Church is on now, mate.
So anyway, then he'd say, "Oh, listen, I went to this thing at church." I said, "Mate, seriously? I don't want to hear about it." Or, "Oh, we had a great speaker at an event we went to the other night." And I'd say, "What was that?" "Oh, it was at a men's group." I said, "You say church." And anyway, this went on, and it went on, and it went on. For how long, Bruce?
It went on?
16 years I prayed for Brian, and I was heading
That's persistent.
It was persistent. I was heading up men's ministry at the church that we were going to at St. Paul's.
That's the one I went for the barbecue. No, that was another one.
That was another one.
Yeah, okay.
Right. And here I am organising events and that with the bunch of guys, which was great. And Brian had moved into the area, so Brian was 5K away, which is even better. And I said to him, I asked him, "Mate, look, we've got this event on at church." I said, "I've taken over men's ministry at this church, and I'd really love you to support me to come along." And I thought, well, yeah, I'm just trying different angles here, right?
Turned it into, yeah. It's about me.
It's all about me. It's not about him. It's about me. And the words Brian said, I'll never forget it. He said, "Mate, if naked women jump out of cake, I will not be there." And I said to him, "Well, mate, that's not going to happen because we only have cupcakes. so it's not going to happen.
They can't fit.
They can't fit. We get little dollies, but we can't get, no, it's not going to work." So from there, I'll go back to Brian because Brian said, "Mate, I'll let you say."
Yeah, well, anyway, I'm now married to Alison and still angry with the world, but angry in a different way. Angry because of what I'd been put through with my first relationship. But then...
And the second one?
No, the second one was...
Oh.
No, look, the second one...
Let's not get there.
I had to go through the second one to be where I am. That's your
Oh, okay.
right. God taught me not to judge, Bruce.
Yes.
Okay,
Mate, well, you're right, mate, because that was part of your life.
right. So all of a sudden he says, "Look, there's another event on at the church." The moment he mentioned church, I once again used a few expletives that it got to the point where Bruce said, "I'd rather you didn't swear in front of me, Brian." Well, that just gave me more ammunition to continue and to use words that I have not seen in the dictionary for a long time.
Actually,
Yeah,
Brian
just
did
inflame the situation.
Yes, yeah, Brian did add some words into the Macquarie dictionary.
So anyway, he invites me and I said, "Look," I said, "mate, you've been pushing my button for so long. I'll come, but this is the deal. I'll come. This is the last time you'll ever invite me to anything you do in a church. I don't want to know about it. And if you do invite me after this event, I will smack you in the nose." I said, "Seriously, I will knock you out."
How old were you guys at that time?
Well, that's 22 years ago.
So about 21.
I wish.
I was going to say 18.
That would have made me about 44, 45.
Yeah.
And you would have been 44, 45, less 10 minutes.
Just 10 minutes.
That's it.
Do you know, I know when your birthday is.
Don't touch me. So anyway, I said, seriously, I was that frustrated. And I thought, I am up to my here with it. I can't deal with it anymore. I'll come. I'll settle you down. Ever ask me again, I'll take you out, right? Yeah, it's coming. So he said, "No, seriously?"
This is after you've said to Alison, "Let's go to church."
Yes. Oh, yeah. Yeah.
You're going to go look yourself in the mirror, man. Knock yourself out.
And I'm glad Gary's here, but he's making sense.
With accountability.
Well, once again, I've got to come back to this is the path.
Yeah.
Right? This is what I had to go
journey.
through. The journey. Thanks, mate. I'm pleased you're here. So I go. Now, and I went in there with an attitude, this is going to take, seriously, there's probably an hour and a half of my life that I'll never get back. Right? I'm just going to listen to these people. They're just going to go, bleh, and I'm going to say, hi, bye. I'll grab an egg and bacon roll and a cup of coffee.
And a cupcake.
And a cupcake. and
no women.
It was me coming in and going out, right? I was just trying to be showing Bruce that, no, I wasn't supporting what he was doing, but I'm sick and tired of you asking me. I'll come, done, that's it, forget it. So I arrive, and all of a sudden there's these guys just standing around and they're chatting, and the next minute one guy comes over to me and says, "Hi, Brian, how you going?" "Oh, yeah, okay, yeah, mate, good, thanks. How's your week been?" "Yeah, it's all right." "Yeah, okay." And I'm really trying hard not to converse because I don't want to.
You don't want to engage.
No, I don't want to engage.
I'm there.
I'm there for a purpose. I'm there to have a roll, have a cupcake, have a coffee, hear a message of some description, which I'm really not going to tune into, and I'm out of here.
Yeah. Now, just on that, I'm heading up the event.
Yes.
Right? So I can't give Brian 100% devoted attention.
Yeah.
Because I'm running around getting things organised, making sure that this is happening.
Good thing.
Make sure that make sure we've got
on the cupcakes.
Making sure the cupcakes are the small cupcakes. And so I've got a bunch of guys from my small group who know that Brian's coming.
Yeah.
And I've got them around Brian. I said, you guys have just got to hang around him and just keep him there, keep him in the building.
Keep him engaged.
Yes.
So I'm sitting at the back of the room, ready to get out the door because I've already had my
bolt.
Yeah, I've already had the coffee, the burger. I'm ready to hit the road, right? And a gentleman by the name of Ian Barnett was at our church, or that church, the church, my church, and he just started to talk, and I just thought, okay, and I was just sitting there with my eyes closed, and I'm thinking, yeah, okay, this won't take long. And he just said straight out, "Do you realise?" Now my eyes are closed. "Do you realise that Jesus died for your sin?" And he focused on the word on your sin. And I'm sitting there and I'm thinking, "Are you talking to me?" And I was frightened to open my eyes because I thought he'd be looking at me, right? And I didn't want to open my eyes. And then he said, "I want you to think about what I just said. I want you to just put your head down for a minute and think of the things you've done in your life that you feel that you shouldn't have done. Just think of those things that you've done. And I'm sitting there thinking, well, have we got all day? Right? Because, there's some dark moments in my life, and I'm sure there's dark moments in lots of people's lives.
Yeah.
And I got to the point where I thought, hang on, what did you just say? And then he said, now, if you pray this prayer, and he said, he just started to open in prayer by saying, for those people here today who do not know you, Lord, please have them open their minds and their hearts and their soul and free them from the pain and the suffering that they've gone through in their lives. If they truly are going to be the person that you want them to be, they will feel that you will enter their lives and you will be you will free them from sin and the pain of life. And if you accept Jesus, who came to this earth and died for your sin, you will be free and you will live the rest of your life in eternity. And I sat there and I thought, so he's going to forgive me for everything that I've done. Now, I've grown up as a Catholic.
Yeah.
I've grown up under the devil will get you, but I never heard that message about Jesus and him dying for me.
Yes.
Okay. And then I broke down. I started to weep, cry. I was a mess. And I felt an anxiety. I felt tingles. My whole demeanor in my mental space just stopped. And I felt so free. And Bruce came over and said, "You all right?"
Let me just grab that piece.
Sure.
So here I am. I've seen Brian as a physical, mental wreck, and I'm thinking, I don't know what the guys have done to him. I gave him a job. Here's Brian. He's crying. So I get over to Brian, and Brian's in the circle with the guys and arms around him. Brian grabs me by the shirt and lifts me up. I'm going, what the heck? He goes, why haven't you told me this before? And I'm going, like, you're kidding me.
Yeah, and it's emotional to me right now, just thinking about what I went through and just the joy that filled me. The warmth was incredible. But yeah, I've gone over and I've grabbed him, and I think he was thinking I was going to take him out.
That punch in the face that you said you were going to give him.
So and I grab him around, and I'm
here we go.
I'm tearing up, and tell me, it takes a lot for me to tear up.
Yeah, look,
and I've got him around the throat, and I've just said, mate, why haven't you told me this? And he just very calmly said, mate, I've been wanting and trying to share this to you for 16 years. And that's all he said. And then I just stopped and I just sat back and I thought, wow. And then I had questions.
Yeah.
Questions. And it just started from there. And then now this is how God works. It's quite surprising. We then go on holidays to Culbarra Beach.
Yeah.
Right. And I hear this singing, and I'm thinking, I've heard that song from the church that Alice and I have just started to go to.
Yeah.
At St. Paul's at Castle. I thought, who on this morning is singing in a caravan park? What's going on? So I walked behind where we were and I saw this massive tent. And I'm quite an extrovert. So I've walked into the back of the tent and there's this church service on.
Yeah.
And one guy's walked over to me and just stood next to me and he said, you okay? I said, I heard the music. I just want to hear the music. What's going on? He said, it's our church service. I couldn't leave. I stayed. So I stayed there for the service, listened to the sermon. And at the end of it, I went back and I said to Alison, I said, Al, you have no idea what's going on here. I said, but there's this group here that are talking about God and Jesus, and they're here for 10 days, and they come down here, they're on a mission trip. And she said, what? So she comes over, we meet the people there, then what happens? The next 10 years, we're on beach mission at Culbarra.
How good is beach mission?
Oh.
If anyone's been if anyone's experienced beach mission, send us up a comment, because I grew up in beach mission as well, and it was the best thing ever.
Well, it's interesting. The three kids that we had, because my two older kids, of course, are out there doing their own thing, but the three younger kids, they're all a part of it. right? They're all growing up in this space. We're learning at different places before we get there about how we go through these things. I share a testimony. I'm heading up the men's team. Can you believe that? Me heading up the men's team?
I know.
Right? Here I am, ready to take you out and had no time for God or Jesus, and now here I am professing my faith and sharing the word. I'd hang around the pool of a morning when the guys are there, come back from fishing, they're all drinking. I've got a tattoo on my arm of a cross. They've got crosses on their arms, and I'd start to share my faith. And I'm thinking, what am I doing?
Yeah.
But God's just saying, you go for it. And that's basically what happened from there, didn't it?
Yeah, and I think let's go back to when you were converted at that event. Brian sat down with me when everyone else had gone. We were sitting in the car park.
Yep.
And he said, mate, so is that it? That's all I've got to do is just know that Jesus is my Lord and Savior, and he died for me and rose again, and I just need to believe that, and that's it. Like, what else have I got to do here? I said, you've done it. That's it. Like, that's what you've got to do. And what I want to really also say is I prayed a prayer that Brian would come to faith, where he would get to know who Jesus was and give his life to Christ. So my prayer was that.
Yeah.
And God has done that. So God is saying to me, and always does, says, Bruce, you prayed this, but you watch what I'm going to do with this guy.
Yeah.
And every day God says to me, come on the journey with me, and I'm showing you what I'm going to do with this bloke. Brian said to me when a week into his conversion, he said, so have you spoken to Mum about Jesus? I said, no, mate. He said, how long have you been a Christian, mate? Like, you're kidding me. He said, have you actually sat down with Mum and showed her the Bible? I said, no, mate. He said, righto, if you're not going to do it, I'll do it. So he goes and shares the gospel with Mum.
Now, our mum is a Christian woman, but she's from the old school. What the priest shares from the pulpit is the message. They were taught not to read the Bible, not to follow up in the Bible. They just were, whatever the priest said was verbatim. That's what's happening. Yeah. So I sat down with Mum and I opened up the Bible. I said, Mum, let's look at the book of Genesis. And we just went through the first part of Genesis, Adam and Eve and the creation of the world. And my mum was gobsmacked. And she said, I really didn't understand all that. And here I am, this newbie, right, starting to share this faith. And I walked into the conversation before this thinking, dear Lord, please help me, because I really don't know what I'm doing and how I'm going to do it, but I'm going to give it a shot.
Yeah.
And when I left there, I thought, praise the Lord. And I thought, you were with me all the way.
Yeah.
And I did not make a faux pas or fail in that hour that I sat with Mum going through the Bible. And I said to her when I left, we'll do this again. And I gave Mum a Bible.
Yeah, and with Mum, I spoke to Mum. Mum's passed away now, but I spoke to her and I said, when I came to Christ, Mum said, you've always been a Christian. You've always been with Jesus. I said, well, I am now. She goes, well, then you worship a different God than I do.
Oh, wow, yeah.
So when it came to my wedding, which was outside of the Catholic Church, Mum was thinking whether she comes or not.
Yeah, okay.
So that now, Mum's passed away, but just before she passed, I said, Mum, I want to praise and thank you for what you've done in bringing Christ into the family. And she looked at me saying, what do you mean? I said, well, you know who Jesus is because Brian's presented Christ to you, and she gave her life to Christ. I said, with what you did saying that we need to get our son David baptized, otherwise he's going to hell, that's what got Kerry and I converted. And then I now have an opportunity to see Brian converted. And I think that here's another reminder too for everyone. Sometimes we don't see the conversion.
Yeah. You're just planting the seed.
We pray, and we plant the seed, and the 459th person in the journey of that person will see the conversion. We don't see it. I've been absolutely blessed that I've seen the man I love, who's 10 minutes older than me, looks 20 years older than me.
Wow.
Get converted.
God tells me to love you.
Get converted right in front of me.
Yeah.
Right? Okay, it took 16 years, and they're also in God's timeline, if you went from creation to when Jesus returns, is for however long, you put a little dash down through that line, which is your life.
Yeah.
You wouldn't see it. So 16 years in God's mind is, well, that's not
I mean, how do you even see a dash in eternity?
correct.
That's it.
Correct.
That's it. And it's been surprising. I've had an amazing journey from that day. I've been a part of the men's ministry under your leadership. I've been a part of the beach mission team. I've been a part of leading different people through beach mission for that time, which was an amazing journey. I was a part of the church community in our church. I ended up being a parish councillor there for 3 years. I've just stepped down from that because we're moving from this church. And I've had the opportunity to see my friends or acquaintances that I know through Alison and myself, who now know we're Christians, and I've seen one of these guys come to our church and thank me for bringing him to our church. And he sends me messages saying, Brian, I just want to let you know how wonderful it is that you are on this journey with God and that I can be a part of this. So we're not there to say, wow, this is fantastic, look at me. It's nothing like that at all. We are taught to plant the seed.
Yeah.
Right? And God will make it work. Jesus will do all these wonderful things. All we have to do is present him to them.
So you're listening?
Yeah, I am now.
Good man.
I am now. And it's been a phenomenal journey. It's even to the point where Lachlan, my son, who is in the music industry, he and his wife go to church.
Yeah.
Ava and Michaela, my other two younger ones, aren't in faith, but understand what the faith is, right? And they're going through this journey that I think you and I did, where you go through this stage of life where you are a part of faith and you, for some reason, people just find a reason to move away. But they know where I sit. My eldest son.
The tugging of the world.
Yeah.
And then
It is. And
know.
my eldest son, when I gave my life to Christ, after a couple of months, he said, Dad, you're a changed man. I don't get it. What is it? And I just keep thinking to myself, I'll just present myself the way that God would want me to present myself to everybody. But my son says that to me. My eldest daughter says that to me. So I just think to myself, I've been blessed. I have a question to ask God when I meet him.
When you get there.
Yeah, and that is, why did you leave it so late? Right?
Don't blame me.
No. But because I was a late bloomer. But it's interesting. I almost hear him saying to me, Brian, seriously, you weren't ready. You just were not ready. And it didn't matter what I tried to do, you weren't going to listen. And it's interesting, since I've understood him in my life and understanding the relationship that we have, I picture Jesus walking the earth with the apostles. And the apostles would move forward and go to a space and they'd come back to Jesus and say, Jesus, those people are not listening. They're not involved. What are you going to do about it? And Jesus would say, they're not ready.
Yeah.
Move on and let's work on the next people that will walk past. And that is the situation. So it's not so much when you think or you're outside the square or whatever, God will present himself to you in the most incredible, unusual way from the people that he's got out there working in his field.
That's it.
And really, so for what Bruce has done for me, he has changed my life in a way that you cannot put words to. It's just amazing what he's done. And because of that, he's affected me, my friends. I was only saying to him on the way up here, I've got a few tattoos and I was at the tattoo parlor yesterday and I happened to say that God's in my life in a tattoo parlor. And one guy was there and said, that's interesting you say that because I go to church too. And all of a sudden we're having a discussion about our faith in a tattoo parlor. And I'm thinking.
It's the last place you think.
Yeah, but this is where God wanted it to happen.
Yep.
Yeah.
Right? It was a plan. So there's a lot I got to thank him for. I've never snotted him.
No.
Right?
Well,
nearly snotted your brother though.
And for anyone that's out there, it doesn't matter where you are in your life. It doesn't matter what you've done in your past. Stop, take a breath, know that Jesus is there. He's just waiting for you to accept him.
Yeah, I always go back to there's a house, Jesus is at the door. He's just waiting for you to open it. The door is unlocked. He's there. He's waiting for you to to open that door, because you're welcome in his house, and you always will be, and you'll never be turned away.
Yep. And the thing is, you've just got to be smart enough and open your mind, heart and soul to the fact that just open the door.
That's it.
Just open the door.
Yeah. And how I see Brian's life, he's like Paul in the Bible.
Just not a religious fanatic.
Yeah. Like
persecuting the church.
He's the new Paul. Brian,
the rough around the edges.
Yeah, but Brian's in situations that I'm not in. I mean, I'm a clean skin. I don't have tats. Brian's in a different circle of friends than what I am. We have different lives we live. So Brian, he's wonderful in sharing Christ with people, and he's not afraid to do it. He's just out there, and it comes back to my prayer. I prayed to God that Brian would come to faith, and God's saying, "Well, come on the journey. Let's see what I'm going to do with him."
Yeah, and we all are gifted in different ways, and
big time.
And I love your testimony about prayer, Bruce, and 16 years. 16 years is a long time to be praying for someone, to be working on someone, to be patient enough to just not go, this is never going to happen.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that? Did you ever feel like it was never going to happen?
No, I didn't. I think going on what Brian was saying, it's more the point of God's in control, and God wants me to talk to him.
Yeah.
So seeing the stuff that Brian had gone through and was going through, I'm thinking, man, I don't know how anyone can do this stuff. And I just continued to pray to God about, of course, other people too, but especially for Brian. I mean, this is my twin brother. Like, I've got to give him time with God. I've got to share him with God. God knows everything. And God just wanted me to continue to pray.
That's the answer.
And was I frustrated? No, because Brian and I, we have a continual journey. So even though he was negative, I was positive. Even though he'd say no, I'd be saying to myself, he will say yes, because I'm praying to God and God will make it happen. Now, 16 years, a lot of people say, because we're human beings, 16 years is a long time. No, it's not.
No, not in eternity.
No, not at all. Not at all.
No. And I mean, and as I said earlier, there are so many things for lots of people that don't have God to lean on in a day where things may go wrong, right? And if things go wrong, I can lean into God and say, Lord, why? And I may not get that answer straight away, but all of a sudden he says to me, oh, welcome back. Let's have a chat. And I think, wow, that's great, because he wants me back in that space, because I can't move forward in my strong faith if I don't understand and spend time with him. So that's really important. So there's a lot of people out there that are going through tough times today. And I'm just asking you all just to stop, take a moment and understand that there is a God out there who is listening if you're prepared to talk.
Yeah, he's not just listening. He loves you.
Of course he does.
And he goes out of his way to make sure that you can have a relationship with him, because he is the creator of this world. We believe that he's the creator of this world and that he's the father of all of us. And any good father, he's not going to abandon you. And he even sent Jesus, his one and only son, to die for you. And that sacrifice was huge. It wasn't just he died on the cross, which was a horrific death. He also endured the incomplete wrath of God the Father onto himself. And that is everything that was intended for us.
Yep.
Everything that was intended by all the evil of the world was put onto him.
Yeah. And it's interesting too, Gary. We've got a sister, Cheryl, and Cheryl was married, went through a divorce. Then she met another fellow. She had 2 children to her first husband. She meets another fellow. They fall in love. They get married. They have twins. When the twins are 14, one of the Johnny dies from an anaphylactic reaction to peanuts.
Oh, wow.
That totally devastated her life. And John, her husband, struggled from then on. He then ended up with prostate cancer and he passes. after his death, Heidi, Cheryl's eldest daughter from her first husband, at the age of 40, says to her husband that day, I'm not feeling well. She leans back on the lounge, collapses and dies from an aneurysm.
Wow.
So Cheryl's gone through a divorce, a husband that's passed away, a son 14 years of age that's passed away, a daughter 40 years of age that's passed away. She still has 2 children. It's not a nice way to say that, but I'm sorry. She has 2 children living, but they're living in this world. The others are with God. And Cheryl is a strong, devoted Christian. Now, when I see what she's gone through in her life, I think we've all got a chance. We've all got to open up.
No, she needs to come on and tell her story.
Yeah.
Boy.
Because Cheryl knew that Kerry and I were Christians when Johnny passed away. And she said to me, like, Brian, don't even go there to God. If you mention God, just don't go there. And Kerry and I, we weren't going to mention God. That's not the appropriate time to talk like that. We were there. We were praying for her, praying for the family. And then it was probably 5 years later, Cheryl rings me, knowing that Kerry and I are Christians. And she said, hey, Bruce, I just wanted to get your thoughts. I'm going to go back to church. How do you feel about that? And my answer to her was, well, Cheryl, how do you feel about it? Because it's not my decision. I said, how do you feel about going back? And she says, I feel as though I need to go back. And I said, well, why don't you go back? And when you've been at church, give me a call later on tonight and let's have a chat. And she is a faithful woman with all the adversity she's gone through. It's, I've got a twin brother. I've got our elder sister. And once again, I haven't had to go through any of this stuff, but God's placed me in a position where all of us can be effective through prayer and patience and listening and being there.
Yeah.
And look, just to throw Alison back into the mix, Alison was converted about 2 weeks after I was.
Yeah.
And she then ended up heading up women's ministry at our church, and she has been working in the office at our church as an administration person and has been there for about 16 years. And she will be retiring soon. Now, where Alice and I are moving, because we're now empty nesters,
Paradise.
Paradise, up to Redhead Beach into an over 50s community. And it's quite interesting. I was in prayer with God some months ago, and all of a sudden I fell asleep. And I normally fall asleep when I'm praying. And then all of a sudden...
And my dad does the same thing. No, like even through COVID, it was like we're watching church and the thing, and you'd take a little picture of him and he'd be there and his eyes closed, and and it would send the picture around to the family like, is he asleep or is he deep in prayer?
Well, here I am. I'm praying for, and it's interesting. I pray now for thanking God for what he's doing and what he's given me, and what is it that he expects of me from here, right? Because I don't have the answers, but he presents it. And then I think, okay, I've got to deal with this in his way. And that's not difficult for me now. But I woke up and I'm thinking, I've got it. We're moving to Redhead. We're moving into a new community. There's 220 homes there. Now, let's say there's 2 people per home. That's 440 people. Maybe some of them are there on their own. So I'll bring it back to 400. Now, when the clubhouse is finished, I'm going to go to that clubhouse. I'm going to sit there and open my Bible, and I'm going to watch what happens. So here I am. I'm going to sow the seed. I'm going to present myself reading that from the Bible the way that I would like to in that space. People are going to come over and say, what are you doing? I'll say, I'm just doing some quiet time. Now, where that takes it, I don't know. But I am there with open arms to be challenged by what these people will bring me.
To seek and save the lost.
Absolutely. And what a perfect place to do it. And that woke me up. I thought, that's it. There's the challenge.
Look, I don't think there's ever going to be a question in anyone's mind that you are going to be the man for the ministry. Yeah, you're the hands and feet. The definition of the hands and feet of God, mate.
Yeah. And look, as I said, I'm a late bloomer, and I I remind myself every day at the age of 67, I say to myself,
looking good.
Thanks, champ. I don't know what I was going to say.
I was going to say,
So nice. No.
I was going to say, we can pat the seeing eye dog.
But the thing is, I look at.
I can give you an answer there. God gave you all this worldly experience,
Yeah,
and that is from your experience of this tough time through this walk in this world. It's like that footpath, the footsteps, the footpaths, the footprints.
Yes,
things like your sand was some pretty gritty sand.
Yeah, and I say to God,
and He's using that now.
And I just say, Lord, give me another day. Just give me another day, right? And I take it on every day as this may be my last day. And I think because I'm a late bloomer, I'm not giving anything up now. I'm going to do what I can to share my faith with anyone that walks past me or it gets involved with me any way, shape or form. Be it as they drive past me, I'll be praying for him, right? Any way that I can, because I feel my time is running on, and I've climbed the mountain, I'm coming down the other side. I want to make a difference.
You're heading home soon.
Yeah, and I want to make a difference while I'm here.
That's it. You're an inspiration to all of us.
Thanks, mate.
Especially as a young man, like me. Like, I look at your life and I look at you. Like when I met you at St. Paul's.
Yep.
I was like, man, this guy's on fire. How can I get? What holy water is he drinking? I want to get some of that.
So I see you. I see your mum and dad. I see your family. Oh, mate, what draws people together is many different things. Don't get me wrong, but when it comes to Christianity, it just happens. And God put us in a space where age is not an issue. It's where we stand in our faith. And you provide me with the sustenance to keep going, right? You really do. And I'm inspired by you and what you do. And you're a young man. I don't see you as a young man. I see you as a wise Christian guy.
A lot of wisdom here.
Don't look here. That's really trying to just present the facts. And the facts are Jesus walked this earth. We know that.
That's right.
He came here to make a difference. And God sent him down here to do that. And he did it. Right? And for those that believe and understand that, we are saved. Now we need to share that with everybody else while we can, while we've got a voice and an opportunity to do it.
This is not bad for coming from a bloke who said, mate, I'm not going anywhere near church. Don't even talk to me and I'm going to snot you if you do.
Yeah.
Hey?
If you talk about it one more time, you're going to snot you.
I'm looking at him thinking, keep talking, man. Keep talking. I'm going to snot you. Keep talking.
We go away every year with our two sisters and we visit all of our cousins around New South Wales. We do it every year. And we love the time that we share together, just the four of us, because we learn so much from each other that we didn't know, because there are different times when we grew up, okay? Now, we were at an event at our church and there was a book, and I grabbed 4 of those books and I turned up when we were away and I said, right, I want you all to read this book on faith. And they all looked and thought, you what? And so Bruce got involved. Cheryl, my elder sister, said, look, I'll listen, but I don't want to read. I just want to listen.
Yeah.
And my other sister, Gay, who's probably a little bit further away from faith than we'd like her to be, she said, look, I'll get involved. So we sat and read a chapter every night. And then we had a few more chapters to go, and we said, okay, look, read the chapters after we've left here and we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
And we all did.
Yeah. And we have a phone catch up every month.
Oh, that's awesome.
Which is really cool. I mean, we're really close.
Yeah.
And it's just good to share Christ with them the way we can.
Yeah.
You guys are setting an amazing standard right here, and that I think everyone can look up to you blokes and your family and how you work it together, and just how God has moved in your lives and the different journeys that how they've come together, and that it's not over yet.
No, and look, I share this with everybody that's listening and watching. If you are with faith, work on it now. Do something now. Make a difference now, because there are people out there that are desperate to hear. For those out there that are listening that aren't with faith, there are people out here that want to help you. And please open your mind, open your heart, open your soul. Listen to what Gary's sharing. Please take a moment and just think about where you are going. And you will be surprised if you take that step. That's all I say.
Amen.
That's beautiful, man. All right, we're gonna go into a wrap up time. Do you have any final words and tips for the people out there? Do you have any where do you? We see a hope in Jesus, but do you see, I guess, hope in the world around you of things that are happening that you never expected to happen?
Yeah, look, there's been different disasters through the world that we've all experienced in different stages of time through the world, and we're all at different stages in our lives. Sometimes we stop and say to ourselves, why is that happening? And why would God allow that to happen? But then I stop and say to myself, is it really God that's letting this happen? Because man have got control over so many things that are going on in this world. So don't blame God. Stop and look at the bigger picture and say, what can I do to help people understand that these things shouldn't happen? And start thinking about what you can do to make a difference.
Yeah.
And if there were more people in this world, politicians, everybody else that you can think of, that do have control over so many things that we do on this place called Earth, have them understand the importance of what it means to have God in your life.
Yeah.
Yeah. And for me, it's the season that I'm in is a season of retirement. So we've just organised a new ministry at church called Retiring with Purpose. And it's for guys who are transitioning to retirement or just into retirement, getting together and working out, well, what does this retirement stuff look like as a Christian man? And how do we keep each other accountable? How do we continue to journey together? And that it's a wonderful ministry that's going to happen because we're in a position where we can keep each other moving forward in our faith, and we should be. I mean, we're at the pointy end of the stick.
That's right.
So I want to make, like Brian, I want to make every opportunity to get guys growing in their faith. I still meet with guys one-to-one, younger guys, which is a wonderful thing to do. So my message is for people, like Brian was saying, is if you're following Christ, well, look at the spiritual gifts and your passions you have in life and get out there and use those passions in your church with people around you and get like-minded people around you, and you watch what God's going to do.
Yeah, 100%.
Like what you're doing in this podcast.
Yeah, and look, you look right back, Gary, when you were just a young lad at St. Paul's, and all of a sudden this relationship develops.
Yeah.
Right now you're doing podcasts and you're allowing this information to come out about two blokes that you met who had a story that you just thought, this is something people need to hear, because it's never too late.
It's never too late.
Right? And you pick this up. And why? Because God made it all happen, mate.
That's it.
Seriously, how good's that?
Bruce, I really like that. Retiring with purpose, because when we retire, a lot of people think, that's me done.
Yeah.
But you're retiring from earthly work in terms of the physical labor you have to do.
Yeah.
But your work, your heavenly job, your heavenly work is not done, and
Never
you won't
stops.
retire until you're on your deathbed.
Yeah.
That's when you're going home, and that's when it's your time to hang up the hat. And I think that's an amazing ministry, and and I can't wait to see what you both go through in this next season, in your retirements, and I can't wait to have you back on to talk about those things, because I think we're going to have to check in 6-12 months down the track.
Can't wait.
And talk about, how's that opening the Bible in the club room? How's retiring with purpose? I think it would be awesome to hear where God has taken you in this next season.
And, the interesting thing when you say that is, just because somebody, if I open the Bible and someone doesn't walk up to me today, don't feel defeated, right? Because all we are asked to do is sow the seed, right? Let people feel comfortable in your space so that they want to come into that space. Now, if it doesn't happen today, tomorrow, or the day after, It's not you're not doing a bad job. Just keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah,
and eventually you'll see the fruits of your labour.
Yeah. And what you're doing is what God wants us to do, is open up His Word.
Yeah.
And get into His Word, get to know who He is.
Yep.
And have the benefits of being glorified through the day.
Yeah, and as I said to you on the way up here, Bruce, like if I get that chance and someone walks over to me and says, "What are you doing reading the Bible?" I'll say, "Yeah, I am." And look, if you want to talk to me about any issues you're going through, and look, I'm at number whatever where I'm living, and please, if you want to have a chat, come and have a chat. Now he can turn around to me and say exactly what I said to you.
Yeah,
right,
be good.
I'd like to suggest we don't talk about that, and I'd say that's fine. But I always say it when people walk away from me, and even if they say that, I'll say, "But by the way, I'll be praying for you."
Yeah.
Right. And in my job when I was in the garden and nursery industry, I'd walk up to people when I was selling stock, etc., and they'd be down, and etc. And I'd say, "What's up?" "Oh, look, I've just heard that Mum's got cancer." And I said, "Oh my gosh, look, I've got a small group with a bunch of blokes. Would you mind if we prayed for her tonight? I'm meeting with the boys." No one ever said no.
Yeah.
And I said, "I just want to let you know that, that she's being thought of through my group." And then I'd visit the nursery again in a week or 2 weeks' time, and I'd say, "Listen, by the way, how's your mum going? Because we've been praying for her." And they'd say, "Look, we really appreciate that, and Mum's doing this or she's doing that, but it's so nice of you to do that." Now, no one has ever said, "Put him back in your pocket. We don't want to hear about it."
You could have done that way back.
I know, but don't be frightened. Don't be frightened. The worst thing
anyone was going to say, it was going to be you, right?
And the worst thing that somebody can say to you is no.
Yeah.
Right? If they said no, walk away, but just pray for them.
Yeah.
That's all.
That's it. The power of prayer is amazing.
Oh,
and
incredible.
I love Bruce's testimony to prayer. And I think we can all be doing that a lot more. Let's wrap it up there. Guys, it's been awesome. It's been an amazing night. I'd like to thank our guests for coming on and sharing their story. Just an amazing twin brothers, two separate journeys, but they've ended up in the same place.
I love you, bro. Don't touch me.
It's been awesome. If hit the like button, subscribe to the channel. Make sure you leave a comment. Let us know what you think. Let us know your story if you want to come on and share it. We'd love to hear it. Where you find hope. And if you're struggling, going through hardship, make sure you get in contact as well. Because as Brian said, we're always here to pray, and we won't say no to prayer.
That's right.
We won't say no to praying for you. So thank you very much, everyone. Good night.
Good night.
Good night.